this is kind of my brother's Ford Explorer with 4.0. So the story behind this is me and my brother, we were building this four-wheel drive Ford Ranchero at one point. We were looking for a donor for a frame, and we bought this. Then we decided that we couldn't tear it apart. We couldn't bring ourselves to do that. And at the time, his wife really liked it. They wanted to get it running, so we started working on it, but it always ran terribly. Like no power whatsoever. Like I drove it home, but like I was lucky to be doing like 50 down the freeway. It was terrible. And so we tried tons of stuff. Like you can look in here, like this wiring's new, this sensor's new. That was replaced at one point. This sensor's new, that sensor's new. Tons of stuff. We like did some fuel injectors, just tons of work trying to get this thing to run right. We even painted this purple at one point because we had it off and we thought it would be cool. And so like we did tons of work and just never could get it running quite right. And now that Cooper has bought a parts Explorer, and then he also had an extra computer sitting around for one of these, I went ahead, stuck that computer in there, and this thing rips. It's running a little rich, so I'm gonna do some more diagnosing before I just rip this apart, just so that then I make sure I got all the bugs worked out of it. But the thing rips, and it's really exciting. And for reference, since they've had this, my brother, they've bought a Bronco 2 themselves and fixed it up. They've got it all pretty. And so that's their new car that they take up to the mountains. They don't need this anymore now that it's running. Well, even before that, they were planning on just selling it or parting it out, selling the tires off of it, whatever, you know. And so they don't need it. And I talked to them and they're like, yeah, no, we can work out a deal. So I now also have a donor, just like Cooper, which let me show you something about this. So I'm going to put some pictures up right now. And as you can see, I stuck this camera down in there because as I pulled the intake to work on the distributor again, there's all of this crap all up inside of here. And it's stuck all up in the valves. It's on the piston heads. I pulled spark plugs on this side. It's disgusting. There was either a rag in that or a rat nest in that intake that got sucked into this engine. And it is like, it would require me to pull the valve covers and this intake bare minimum, if not even the heads off, to get it all cleaned out. And with how much effort I've already put into this motor, how much time, all that, and how it's still just not running good, and it's just terrible, like flat out just terrible, I'm kind of sick and tired of this engine. So I'm pretty much ready to also do a 4.0 swap, which is why I'm going to buy that off of my brother, and we're going to do a 4.0 swap on this one as well. It's going to stay manual. It's going to get the dash out of that Explorer in here. It's going to be a ripper for sure. And so I think today I might just start pulling a few things off of this. And yeah, we'll see what all I get done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today is very likely the last day that this Bronco 2 is ever in this form. As I just barely talked about in the previous video, I'm sick and tired of this engine. I'm done dealing with it, done trying to get it to run good. It just doesn't. It doesn't want to. It's done with its life, at least for me. Maybe somebody else wants to go through and rebuild it, but if I'm already pulling the engine to rebuild, I might as well upgrade, you know? Me and my brother, we have worked out a deal for that Explorer that I showed you. Wow, getting backwards, that one. And so we're putting a 4.0 in this thing. So Cooper and I are both gonna have 4 liters in our little Bronco 2s. And I'm gonna start pulling my engine today from the Bronco. Started pulling some things apart, and I figured that since Cooper's not here, there's no comedic duo here. You guys might at least enjoy some time lapse. So let's get to it. Transmission's out. That was a pain. Whoever did the bell housing bolts last. 4 of them were just like, I fought them for hours because they were so tight. It was insane. I almost broke a ratchet and my elbow because I slammed my elbow into something. But as you can see, pretty much everything's disconnected. I've got the nuts on the 2 motor mounts, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's all off of it, you know. Wiring, there might be, once I start lifting, there could be a wiring harness bolted on down here. Some Ford engines have that. I can't tell through the grease, so we'll find out when we start lifting. If so, it's just the other end of this. Well, that answers that. That's completely out. So we should be completely disconnected. I even have exhaust manifolds off. That's something that I turned off the camera because I was down below and couldn't get those bell housing bolts off. So then I came up here so I could pull them off to get more room. Just figured no point in switching the camera. So yeah, I think my plan now, Cooper's 2.9 had some hoops that could be used to hook a chain to. I might go grab those, or I might just grab some bolts from somewhere. So I think might have a couple of old exhaust bolts I might just use too. And just yank this, like I'm done with this engine. And transmission's out, like made good time. This is all in one day. This is the most productive you guys have seen me ever be. Because this is all happening in one day. So yeah, engine hoist is outside on the trailer. So I'm gonna get that pulled in here and then hook up a chain and start pulling. Alrighty guys, so today's a new day. Last night I went and helped Cooper edit some video, so we had to put out a video last night. But as you guys saw, I did get the engine and transmission out. So it was crazy. I was looking back at some of my footage, pictures. I did it all in 3 hours. I got the whole thing out in 3 hours, starting at around 2:30 and ended around 5:30. So that's a new record for me. But the plan from here, before I even rip apart the Explorer, is get all of this cleaned up. So all the stuff off the fenders that I don't need, I'm gonna get all this grease cleaned up, get the frame cleaned up so I can paint the front part. The back part's actually painted for the most part. It's just this front part is, as you can see, covered in grease. So that's the plan from here. But that's not happening today. Today, I just loaded up all my tools. Need to just put that in the car. And Cooper and I are going to the junkyard. So you'll probably see that whether in this video or a separate video, probably in a separate one. So stay tuned.